any business is not an easy business, right? By its nature, like inherently, it's just difficult to build a startup, to grow it, to scale it, all of that. For us, we started off in the retail vertical, so fashion, because that made the most sort of instinctual sense to us. And over time now, we have clients like Tumi, B&H, electronics, Theory, Helmut Lang, 1-800-Flowers, which is one of our biggest clients as well. And they're a pure gifting business, right? So we have Express, Under Armour, so over 30 brands now that use SmartGift's technology to provide to their customers a new experience of being able to buy for others. And reduce that complexity out of it. And it's one of those things, I think, in a startup, as you know, Michelle, you get that one deal and you're on a roll, right? And it's all about how do you close that one account? Because after that, then you start getting data points. Then you start getting, key performance indicators. Then people start getting to know you. But the first deal is the hardest deal. And I remember thinking back then, like, I was so nervous. I was like sweating under my armpits. I was so nervous. This was for me, do or die. And it was really it just came down to me to make it happen, right? And we were talking, and in general, my nerve was just like they're like the biggest retailer. You're pitching to them as a startup in Brooklyn, Dumbo, and this would be your first account. So literally like after 30 minutes, they were like, hey, sorry, but this is not going to work for us right now. And that was it. Like it's very crushing, just defeat, doors closed. Thanks so much for your time. And I remember like walking out of that room and I just thought, is this it? Like, this is it? Like, what happens next from here? For you, this is everything. And then they will just say no based on XYZ reasons. And you kind of just say, okay, move on. And I think that just singular idea of moving on and whatever that means, I remember for me that day, it was about going to a bar and getting drinking 3 glasses of white wine. But whatever moving on is, you just have to go and do it, And that's when it really helps to have co-founders, like really sort of supportive people in your team everybody's, understands the vision and everybody understands that defeat is the natural part of that success story. And it was really kind of going against that everything you want to do in that moment, where you want to ask them like, listen, I just flew in. Can you give me 5 more minutes? It's going against an entire grain of thought and just walking away elegantly and thanking them and saying, we'd love to keep in touch. Let us know if anything changes. If this does become a priority for you, please let us know. It was that sort of walking out of that room, literally elegantly, and not begging, not saying, just give me 5 more minutes. What is it that you don't like? Can we talk about this? I think that made all the difference. Just knowing that there has to be, like, this will work. And I think entrepreneurship ultimately is that. You just have to have this blind, excruciating faith in yourself, in what you're trying to do. And you kind of just have to walk out of certain situations and just walk out of them, right? I know it sounds so absurd, but I think it's this, are you oscillating on the same sort of, chemical wavelength, if you will? And because listen, like these are big brands, big clients, right? So the product has to work. There has to be a fit. The technology has to be good. So given all that, apart from that, I would say, which has to be a given, right?
Right.
Apart from all that, I think it's really about the chemistry. Do you connect? And if you connect, and I think that's very easy to gauge, right? And I think for me, it's always like, when I walk into this meeting, I think about that one person I really enjoy spending my time with and just bring that energy to the table. So we automatically just connect with people because they're also people. Yes, they might be the chief digital officer of, some huge brand, but the person at the end of the day is also a person. And they also potentially have kids and have friends and have parents and have, things that they do. And I think when you sort of connect on that level and look at them in that way, it just flows. Like things will just flow. You should never be selling. Like selling should actually not be selling. Selling should be really understanding people's needs and people's desires and what they're looking to do over the next year and how you can actually help them. But I really, really mean that. And once you take the selling aspect out of selling, you're no longer selling, you're actually conversing with people, you're having conversations and building genuine connections. And I think that makes all the difference. I think fear itself is probably the biggest blockage of anything in life, right? And I know that one's mindset, if you're kind of constantly looking at things from a fear perspective as opposed to a desire perspective, it just changes the entire outcome on anything. So I think if luckily I did always sort of pursue what I wanted to pursue and kept at it. So, so the younger Monika is happy that I did go into entrepreneurship, that I did do startups, I did take those bold risks. So the older Monika is happy that the younger Monika did all that. But in retrospect, I could have made my life a lot easier if I had just, been confident. Like there's so much, so I'll tell you one thing. I was on a panel and then somebody was asking me like, hey, how's the business going, right? And then there was another male co-founder, like a male founder next to me doing his own startup too. And I said, yeah, it's going great. It's going well. Thank God. That's what I said. And the other guy said about his business, we're crushing it, right? Equal number of clients, we're potentially doing probably better. And that's how I said it. And I think that's one thing, if there's any takeaway for me, has been that don't be shy to be confident. Don't be shy to be able to say, what, we are crushing it. And it's going great. There's no need for humility, There's no nobility in humility.